Okay, so once again, thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be going over becoming a go-to print reseller. All right, so first let's cover understanding your market. Who are your customers, right? I think a big part of becoming a successful print reseller is really doing a little bit of research from the beginning. And today we're going to be covering these different points to be able to find out what is going to make you more successful in the print market, within the print market. And I think that really applies for whatever kind of printer you are, whether you're a signage company, whether you're a specific, printer that you have a print shop and you have printing equipment in there, or if you're like a quick printer, a more office related type of business center where customers will come in and kind of talk with you about their business. It really doesn't matter what type of print business you are. These are the points that you need to research and survey your customers, so that way you can create a plan to be able to be more successful and diversify your offering. And a key point that I always bring up in most of my webinars is your customers are part of this local businesses, right? 85% of local business revenue comes from a 3 to 5 mile radius, and your customers are getting that majority of their business from that 85% of local businesses. But not only that, most of you, if not all of you, are considered a local business as well. So it's important to keep that in mind, that not only when you're communicating to your customers that they are a local business and they need to kind of communicate with their local area, you also keep that in mind for yourself. It's kind of hard to, it's easy to lose that notion about your business, where you may not see yourself as a local business, or you may not see yourself as kind of where your business is coming from. You're part of this 85% of your revenue is coming from your local area. So it's good to keep researching and surveying that local area to be able to stay on top of things. So let's look at some of the popular local markets within your areas. And I'm sure all of you are probably familiar with these markets. If not, you're already doing business with some of these markets. Education, local services, hospitality, including like hotels, bed and breakfasts, that sort of thing. Real estate agents, real estate firms. These are all different markets that are super popular in every single local area. And these numbers right here, these are how much each of these markets prints, how much each of these markets use printing to advertise with, to outfit their businesses with, whatever they're doing. They allocate these, for education, 2.4 billion they allocate for printing and advertising. Local services like plumbers, handymen, insurance services, 8.3 billion they allocate for printing. Hospitality, hotels, 10.2 billion, and real estate agents, real estate agencies, the real estate industry overall does a ton of printing. I'm sure you guys all know that. 10.8 billion within that industry. So these are not small numbers, and they're out there. They're really fresh markets, especially right now, post-pandemic. A lot of these services are churning up their marketing again. They have, because of the pandemic as well, they have figured out that print, physical advertising really works for their businesses, right? A lot of these businesses who maybe didn't consider printing as a primary way to reach customers have figured out that print, physical print, a physical postcard going to a customer's doorstep to their home works almost better than everything else. A lot of, during the pandemic, a lot of people were enclosed, they were not going out, they were not able to go into stores. The only way to market to them was to send them a postcard, was to do a direct mail, was to do maybe EDDM. Send them a catalog, a print catalog of their products and services. And now these businesses don't want to get rid of that anymore, because they have figured out that it really works. It makes a much stronger connection with consumers, with people, to get people, get their brand out there. So it's really, really good post-pandemic, especially for you guys, And it's really important for you to see the value of going after these businesses and reaching out to them with print. All right, so let's see what the consumer behavior with print really adds to this. And again, it's all about research. It's all about surveying your market and surveying your customers. Now that you've seen some of the top markets that you have, right? Now it's time to survey your customers, okay? Ask them, what markets are you in? That way you can allocate them into specific products. Do they have any events coming up? Do they have any marketing plans? What's their marketing calendar look like? What's their budget? All of these things, all of these questions that you're asking your customers, or that we'd like you to ask your customers, and you should be asking them, will filter down the proper products and services that you could offer to them, right? And it's really that sort of knowledge that can really zero in on what services they actually need and what they're going to respond to more than anything else. I think a lot of customers make the not incorrect decision, but more of like the kind of shotgun approach, where we have all these services, we have all this print available, and then they put everything in front of their customer all at once, right? Where they say, I can do whatever you want in regards to printing, no problem. But that messaging is not really the right way to go about it, especially when you're trying to make more immediate sales. It's much better to be a collaborator with your customer, to be that marketing partner with them, right? To show them that you have the knowledge to be able to offer that extra service, offer that special, insight into advertising, into print communication, so that way they trust you more. And once they trust you more, they're going to further their repeat business, and they're going to further their outreach to you, and increase their business, increase their own marketing. And then that way you'll be able to more easily offer them different types of products, different types of services. And once they, the more success they have, the more targeted you are, the more they trust you, and the more success you'll both have, right? Not only that, but also product knowledge is another great key thing to keep in mind. Your education on our print products and services, your insight into which products fit what purpose is really key to further filtering down which products and services that you should be marketing to your customers, right? So for example, the first key question you see up here is, do they have any events coming up, right? That's what you're asking a customer. The follow-up questions should be, is that event a temporary event, or is it going to be a more long-term event? Is it going to be outside, or is it going to be inside? Are you looking for a high-level type of signage, or maybe something more budget-oriented? These are all questions that you guys should have within your toolbox to be able to filter down which products they're going to more respond to. And I think that's really the key. You need to offer products that customers are really going to respond to right away, that they're going to say, dang, why didn't I think about that, right? That's where the key comes in. All right, so now that you've researched your market, now that you've surveyed your customers, and now that you have a little bit of product knowledge, let me offer this too. Forgot to mention this. Let me put myself on camera. All right, yeah, all you guys can see me now. Along with the product knowledge, this is super key. This is our product sample kit. I highly recommend. Hopefully you all have received one of these when you sign up. I think we send one out of these free to customers, but you can purchase it on our website as well. This is super useful to further filter down what your customers' needs are going to be. And again, I don't think it's a matter of the shotgun approach of like, hey, here's my box, take a look at everything I can do and tell me what you want, right? That's kind of the easy way to go about it. But I think for more immediate sales, for more targeted sales, the approach you should take is look at this first and then present to your customer what you think is going to work for them. So for example, going back to the events, right? We have this within this little sample kit, and it's a large format materials sample. So along with the events, you're asking, okay, is it going to be an indoor or outdoor event, right? So once you have that information, you know that not all of this is going to work for an outdoor event. Only some of this is going to work. Only present them with the stuff that's going to work for outdoors, right? The Coroplast, if you have yard signs, they need signage. Coroplast is really great for outdoor signage. If they need to, you know, put it in front of the event or anything, or around the event, Coroplast is really good because it's super durable for outside, lasts within the rain, you know, the sun, whatever it might be. It's good for temporary signage as well. So if they need something more temporary, this is really inexpensive. They're not gonna gawk at the price that you're gonna offer them, because this is super inexpensive through us, okay? So you can go at a little bit lower price point so they can buy into it, like that more immediate sale that I was talking about, all right? So definitely get a sample kit if you don't have one. I highly encourage you guys to go through it, but also don't just give them the box so they can go through and pick what they want. Be more targeted, okay? All right. So now that you've surveyed your market, now that you know your customers, you can put together, and you know our products, now you can put together some market profiles where you can create plans of attack to be able to go out there and produce some actual sales with your customers, right? So you're asking them, again, what their events are coming up, what their marketing calendar looks like, and together, now you can create those profiles so you can put together, you know, a sales plan, resources, send them an email about, you know, what available products and everything that you might have. So here we've put together some examples that you guys can do as well of market profiles and marketing priorities. Okay, so this market profile, for example, is for retail. What do we consider retail? Well, because you know, local businesses like restaurants, clothing stores, dealerships, bakeries, you know, whatever is kind of a retail outlet that has a storefront, where customers will walk into, you know, kind of like open markets where they do have a storefront and they have products out there or a service out there that everyone can see. That's what we really consider a retail outlet. So what are their marketing priorities of a retail outlet? Advertising, information delivery, and branding, okay? So advertising, that's pretty simple to figure out. I think it's how a retail outlet advertises themselves to the rest of the world from their storefront, okay? That's what we consider an advertising marketing priority. A lot of people, you know, a lot of businesses will do that. So banners, EDM, direct mail, window graphics, these are all really hot products for that marketing priority that retail businesses have. How is a customer going to show themselves, show their brand, show their services to make that direct connection? Because the point of the advertising for a retail outlet is to get them in the door, right? Now that the pandemic's over, they're starting to churn a lot of this stuff up very quickly. Banners, EDM, especially direct mail outreach, like I mentioned before, it worked during the pandemic, and now it's going to work even more. And a lot of businesses are going to continue to do it because they have found such success doing it. EDM especially is a really good one because it's a way to saturate a whole area. You can put a coupon on that EDM mailing, so that way you can get that call to action to get somebody to the storefront and in their door, bring that coupon in, right? So think about those like little things that you can do with the advertising to be able to draw people in. And again, I recommend advising your customers to do this. They might not know, it might not be apparent to them how to go about advertising. You can be that marketing expert to them. And it's a really value added service that will put you above and beyond, especially online printers, where they might offer less expensive services, but they're not going to have that customer service. They're not going to have that relationship you have with your small businesses and your customers. Next one here is information delivery. So how does a retail outlet communicate their products and services to a customer? Brochures, hang tags, labels, a for sale sticker, a clothing tag, a price, or a brochure, a booklet. So that way all their products and services are laid out very quickly that a customer can take with them. That's what we consider information delivery. Super important to retail businesses. Restaurants especially, a to-go menu, they might want to print that on a brochure. They might want to print it on a rack card, right? So that way they can take it with them and take it home. So that way they have the information with them. And I think another key point about all of this is to figure out the terminology between your customer and yourself, and not only that, but us, right? Whereas if for example, a restaurant, they want a to-go menu, they might not know in print terminology what to call that. They're just gonna ask you for a to-go menu, right? So it's your job to get that extra information to say, okay, what's your budget? How many dishes do you want to showcase? Is it, do you want customers to just kind of take it with them, or do you want to sit there, have them sit there and read it? How much information do you want to put into it? That'll tell you what print product is going to be good for them to do, like versus, whether it's a rack card where it's just a one sheet front and back, where maybe it's like a special that you want to advertise, versus a full-on brochure where you are featuring all of the menu, all of their information, so that way that customer can take it with them. Okay, and again, I don't think your customer is going to know the correct print terminology for that. So it's your job to be a little bit more creative, and that's where your product knowledge will come in. So that way you can deliver a more reasonable product, more reasonable price point, and the right product to communicate what they're looking for. All right, the next marketing priority here is branding. So anything that is going to have their logo, that is going to be a much nicer type of, like, more decoration almost for a business, more of a image that they want to convey to their customers. So business cards, letterheads, aluminum signage, these are all ways to convey the image to the customer, to convey the branding to them of what they're all about very quickly. Business cards is, again, super important one, as you guys might know. The most common form of advertising, really, and form of communication in print, probably business cards. And I think even with the business cards, you could ask those extra questions to see if you can offer either a kind of standard business card, right, versus maybe a more embellished and majestic card, right? So asking your customers what's their budget, what type of what type of branding they want to communicate. If you have a business that, kind of, they don't have too much of a budget, and they're okay with, they're just gonna pass out a bunch of business cards to everybody, maybe a more standard business card is the way to go. A 16-point UV coated both sides, because it's inexpensive to you. You can offer it very inexpensively, and you can get a lot of them for inexpensive, and then that way you can make that sale. But if you have a customer who is a little bit more high end, maybe wants to communicate a more refined, a more luxurious message, right? Their budget is probably much bigger. You'll be able to sell them on a majestic card instead of a standard card. So that way you can give them maybe a painted edge card, maybe a suede card. And if you do have the ability to do a little bit of extra design work, or they have the ability to do a little bit of extra design work, maybe even a raised UV card with suede, maybe a foil card, raised foil. Those are all additions that you can add, added value that you can add to a business to be able to make that much more markup, that much more margin, that much more profit off of a single business card. And I think it also, and again, it applies to all the different elements that we're talking about. All right, let's take a look at another market profile for events. trade shows, concerts, government does a lot of events. They're always out in the community. I think it's very important to be able to, you know, consider government as a very valuable customer. So all of these events have these different marketing priorities. Again, branding, going back to branding, how are they going to communicate that they're there at the event among probably a lot of other brands at the same event? Flyers, tablecloths, event tents, showing off their logo, communicating a message effectively. These are all tools that a customer can use to brand their event, right? Event tents is a really good one because it's pretty, especially now that the pandemic is over, a lot of outdoor events are happening now. A lot of events in general are happening now. Event tents is a really great way to kind of enclose a business within their allocated area at the event while communicating their logo, protecting them from the elements, protecting them from the sun. You know, it kind of, even for customers, even for consumers, seeing an event tent, you know, above a little booth, it is a nice kind of feature. Like, oh, they want to get out of the sun, they're going to go under an event tent, you know. So and our event tents are really, really nice, super weather resistant. The hardware is really easy to kind of handle and put together. It has like switches instead of the pins that you typically get with an event tent. And you have the added bonus of being able to offer full color print on all sides, on all the different panels for the event tent. And we have all the templates online that you can download, so you can, you know, either produce the artwork yourself or give it to your customer so they can produce the artwork. So event tents is a really, really great product, and it's at a super good price point, especially for the type of product you're getting for it. I think also navigation. Navigation is super important for events. And I think we have a lot of products that you may not think about immediately in terms for navigational signage, but you know that we have available to you as tools so you can sell to customers. Again, going back to yard signs, you know, directing people to where the parking is, to where the restrooms are. You can pretty much blanket a whole event with yard signs and be able to, you know, kind of put these things in different places, so that way, you know, you'll be able to navigate people to the right areas. Fabric tube displays is another really good one as well, because, and this is a really nice one because it's portable, it has really nice hardware, and you can swap out the fabric whenever you need to. So a customer can use it for one event, keep the hardware, and then they'll be ready for the next event because you'll be able to produce the fabric again for them. So it's a really flexible product in that sense. And then finally, takeaways for events, event tickets, tote bags, postcards, all really good things that a customer can hand to somebody so that they'll remember them. Tote bags are super good. We use them at most of our events that we go to, even where, you know, a customer will throw all the marketing materials into that tote bag, but that tote bag is facing everybody. So they'll see your brand, they'll see, you know, they'll ask about it sometimes, like, oh, hey, where'd you get that tote bag? I need one too. That's another person directly to the booth. These are all things that you should communicate to your customers to be able to make those sales. And then finally, the last market profile I have is services. And services are plumbers, real estate agent, insurance services. These are markets that may or may not have a storefront. And that's really important to keep in mind when you're creating these market profiles of, you know, do they have a storefront? Do they have an office, or are they working from home, right? Because that will change the type of products that you're offering to your customers as well. Okay, so services marketing priorities are more utility, so utilitarian type of print. What are they going to write their orders on? What are they going to use to write their orders on? And then also the receipts, you know, being able to give people receipts. So notepads, pens, NCR forms, all really great options that a customer not only can use, but they can leave with their customer to leave their brand and remind them of their services. Speaking of reminders, reminder is a marketing priority for these type of services because they may or may not have a storefront. Maybe they have a van that they're going from place to place. So that way they're going to have to drop off something that will remind them of their brand and products and services that their customers are going to be able to leave at their homes, right? Magnets, fridge magnets, loyalty cards. Loyalty cards, again, speaking of terminology, loyalty cards is a big one. What does a customer consider a loyalty card? It might just be as simple enough as a regular business card with a punch card on the back, a couple squares to be able, so a customer can go and write a check, put a stamp in there, and that's it. They bring that business card back. And it's your ability to be able to decipher which products to offer your customers is really key when it comes to that sort of terminology. And this is a really good example of that. And then also presentation folders, where are they going to put all those receipts? Where are they going to put all that information? They're going to leave that whole presentation folder and give it to somebody, and then that's their brand. You know, that's the reminder. I can't tell you how many, you know, tax people use presentation folders as the main form of communication, where they fill out all those tax forms, they put it into a presentation folder, give it to somebody. That's how those people remember who did their taxes sometimes. And then finally, advertising. And advertising, again, kind of general. EDDM, direct mail, we already talked about those. Car magnets, again, if they're a mobile service, they don't have a storefront, car magnet might be the way to go to get their brand out there. And then door hangers too. I think door hangers is super, you know, kind of underrated. I think door hangers are a really effective way, not only to communicate a brand to somebody who hasn't heard of somebody, hasn't heard of their service, but also if a plumber goes into a home, does some work, they might put a door hanger on the inside of the door, right? So that way they have their business card on there, they have their information. Hey, I just, you know, fixed your toilet. Here you go. Here's a door hanger on the inside of your door so you can remember me by. And customers will, you know, again, appreciate that. A consumer will remember, it'll be more memorable type of advertising. All right, and finally, restaurants. So let's take a deeper dive into restaurants. I'm kind of putting all of this out there because this is everything that a restaurant will typically do as far as advertising, outdoors, indoors, and as far as their stationery and branding and print. Okay, so keep in mind, and I want to stress this, you do not have to offer all of this all at once. This is more for you to keep in mind the potential that a restaurant can bring you, right? And when we're talking about creating niches for yourself, you might be able to, you know, either create a restaurant niche for yourself or even create, like, for example, maybe you can be the notepad guy for restaurants, right? Where you're offering, that'll be your gateway product into the restaurant market, where you're offering notepads or maybe to-go menus or maybe fabric flags at a pretty low cost. And then that'll get you in the door to restaurants so you can offer them everything else. And I think it's about picking a couple products, being more targeted with your services. And then that way you can build up the relationship and you can offer them other products. And I think that's how you're going to grow and diversify your solutions to these different markets and these local services and local businesses. The more trust you build, the more you're a marketing advisor, the more you're a print advisor, the more they're going to trust you and the more they're going to bring to you. The more they're going to be willing to hear you out to see what else you have to offer. Okay. And again, these markups here that you see, these are kind of a nationwide average. Your market might be different, might be the same. That research is going to help you get those markups right on target. And don't be afraid to ask your customer either, you know, if you think you're too high or you think you're too low even. Don't be afraid to ask your customer, hey, what were you getting this product before? What was your price point? What's your budget, right? Because that's all going to determine this markup. Because sometimes you'll be able to, you might be leaving profit on the table for some people where, you know, you might think it's a good price point, but they're actually paying maybe double or whatever it might be. So it's always good to ask questions to your customers. All right. Okay, so that concludes the presentation portion of it.